Hello, I'm here today with the third maths lesson. I'm going to start off with a starter all about triangles. So it says, how many triangles can you see in this picture? And you need to think outside of the box. Pause the video and start thinking. Okay, now on my answer sheet, the answer sheet thinks it's 20. They counted up the individual triangles. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 12 individual triangles. And then it thinks there are 6 and 2, 20. So I've got 20. I wondered if you agree with that. Please let me know on Teams, because I'm not sure if that's right. Let me know what you think. Okay, yesterday we had the rule, we learned the rule, that when you're multiplying fractions, like up here, 1/3 multiplied by 1/5, you get 1/15. And we learned that the numerator was staying the same, so it was 1, 1, 1, and we were multiplying the denominator. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15, and we were looking at it on bar models. Now use that knowledge to try and solve this problem, and in a minute we're going to look at a visual, so if you're not sure, don't worry. It says Rudy drank 3/4 of a 1/3 litre bottle of juice. So just picture in your hand, you've got a bottle of juice which is 1/3 of a litre. And you start drinking, gulp, 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 and you drink 3/4 of it. What fraction of a litre did Rudy drink? So think, what's the question? How are you going to solve this? Make links to the previous lessons. Maybe you can draw a bar model before I show you my bar model. Pause the video. Okay, let's go through the bar model. So if you think about it, this 1 represents 1 litre. Okay? Now, in the bottle of juice, there was 1/3 of a litre. Okay, so the drinks bottle didn't have a whole litre, it only had 1/3 of a litre, which is why there's only 1 part shaded here. Now, this represents Rudy's whole bottle, this 1/3. When he was drinking, he only drank 3/4. So I guess if he goes back there now, he's still going to have a quarter left in the bottle to drink. Now, if he drank 3/4, the question said, what fraction of a litre did he drink? So we need to know what fraction these 3 yellow parts are in relation to the whole, this big one up here. Now remember yesterday, the day before, if we divide one of these parts into 4, we need to do the same to the other 2 parts. So how many parts will there be in the whole now? Wonder if you got it right. There are 12 parts in the whole now, and Rudy drank 3 of those. So the answer isn't 1/12. The answer is 3/12. Tell me what the calculation would be. We started off with the question, 3/4 of a 1/3 litre bottle of juice. What's the question? Okay, the question is 3/4 multiplied by 1/3, so 3/4 of 1/3 equals 3/12. And I wonder if you could explain why is a quarter down here? What word do we use? Look, I've put an equal sign there. What word do we use? We use equivalent. It's an equivalent fraction. 3/12 is equivalent to 1/4. Look, 12 divided by 3 is 4. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So you could have either of these answers, they mean the same thing. Okay. Now, think about what we've just done. Think about the rules we've covered. What do you expect the answer to be to this question? 2/3 multiplied by 4/5. think about the rules. Look back at what we've just done. Look, how did we get from 3, 1, 3, 4, 3, 12? What do we do? Use that on this part here. Now going to show you some models to help you visualise what you're doing. It's really important to not just learn rules in maths, it's important to actually understand what you're doing. It's important to be able to represent what you're doing. Here's one way of visualising it. If you've got 2/3 and you want to find fifths, they become 15ths. So if we look at it again, so the question said 2/3 multiplied by 4/5. If we have 2/3, that means we have to separate each of the thirds into 5 equal parts. So that means we do the same to each of the thirds. So we end up with 15 parts. There are 4 shaded in each of the thirds because the question said 4/5. So look here, 4/5 multiplied by 2/3 equals 8/15. Can you see any rules? Our rule from yesterday, 5 times 3 equals 15. Look at the top numbers, the numerators. 4, 2, 8. What's the rule? Here's a different way of visualising it. You've got 2/3. You separate them into 15ths like before, and you still end up with the same answer. It's just a different way to see it. I wonder which model you preferred. Okay, so I wonder if you spotted the rule. So when you multiply fractions, you actually multiply the numerators together to get the final numerator. So you do 4 times 2 equals 8, and you do 5 times 3 equals 15. So you actually multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators. Look at this one here. What question would go with this bar model representation? We started with one whole. We divided it into quarters. We've got 1/4 shaded. And then we've got 1/8 shaded. Think what we've been doing a little bit. What would the question be? What question would go with this? Okay, did you get it right? 1/2 multiplied by 1/4 equals 1/8. What about this one? What question would go with this picture? So you started with one whole, you divide it into 3 equal parts, and you've got thirds, so you shaded one of them in, you wanted 1/3. And then what did you do to this third? So if we think about it, you divide the third into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And then you wanted 3 of them. Let's think. There's the question, did you get it? 3/4 multiplied by 1/3 equals 3/12. Notice our rule. 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. What about this one? What's the question and what's the answer? Let's have a look. Either way round's fine because of the commutative law. So the question, 4/5 multiplied by 2/3, which equals, what would the answer be? Multiply the numerators together, multiply the denominators together, 8/15. So your task now, let's go back, your task now, this is the only task for today, is to complete these calculations remembering the rule. Multiply the numerators together, multiply the denominators together. And remember that the word of is the same as the multiplication sign. Pause the video and write down your answers so that you can share them with me on Teams afterwards, and I'll go through the answers in a minute so you can mark them. Okay, I'm going to go through the answers. Please pause the video if you've not finished. First question. 3/4 multiplied by a half would be 3/8. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 3/8. This one. 5/7 times 3/8 would be 15 over 56. 15/56. Over here. 1/3 times 2/3 would be 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 3 is 9. 2/9. This one, 3/7 times 5/8. Well, actually, it's very similar to this question, isn't it? 3 times 5 is 15. 7 times 8 is 56. So it would be 15/56. Over here. Similar to one of the other questions. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 5 is 15. 2/15. This one, 7/8 times or multiplied by 3/5. 7 times 3 is 21. 8 times 5 is 40. 21/40. Please let me know how you got on. And here's a way. Look at this as a final question, I think. What calculation do these models, or does this model represent? Write down the question. Here's the answer. I wonder if you got it right. Thank you for joining in. We will continue tomorrow. Well done for your hard work. And please share your ideas with me on Teams. Bye.